Welcome to the Electric Playground. Today on the show, two members of the upcoming Suicide Squad movie join forces in a brand new film called Focus.
Congratulations, you're a criminal.
You might be one of the best I've ever seen.
Plus, Aquaman swims to the surface with a look at the new animated movie, Justice League: Throne of Atlantis.
And then we set our sights on Clint Eastwood's American Sniper.
I got a military-age male on a cell phone watching the convoy over.
If you think he's reporting troop movement, you have a green light.
Also coming up, we join the Secret Service with a review of Kingsman and a whole lot more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest on everything cool every single day. Will Smith and Margot Robbie were recently cast as Deadshot and Harlequin in next year's Suicide Squad movie. So if you want to see them in action before that, they're together in the brand new Focus. Let's take a look.
Oh my God. Earthquake!
Whoa!
Jared, just let him go.
I think you should shoot me. You'd really be doing me a favor.
He's on to us.
You guys suck. First of all, you gotta wait till she gets my pants off. And then you gotta give me a chance to run. That's how you get the money. And you never drop the con. You never break. Die with the lie. Nikki and the film, there was an idea that from the beginning was one of the most powerful ideas for me, and it was the concept that nothing can stand on a lie. No matter how good your lie is, no matter how well thought out it is, no matter how many people you get to lie with you, everything collapses from a lie. And on top of it, there's no way to have a real, true, powerful human relationship outside of complete authenticity.
Who's the girl?
Her name is Jess, Farhad. She's our intern.
You hitting that?
I'm right here.
No, Farhad, I'm not hitting
You
that.
should hit that.
Learning all the pickpocketing stuff for this role was one of the best things about this role because it was fascinating. It was so much fun.
I got this.
What?
I remember when I first read the script, I started doing a bit of research online, and the first person I came across was Apollo Robbins, who is arguably the world's best pickpocket. And I read this giant article, and I was just fascinated, and I couldn't stop looking into it, looking up all his stuff, and this guy is incredible. It's just amazing. And I remember thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if the film could just sit down with him for a meeting or something? Turns out, of course, they had him on board to choreograph the entire film, really. Very clever.
All right, now, attention is like a spotlight. And our job is to dance in the darkness.
It's an interesting game between camera's reality and the human eye's reality, because our reality is the end point, but perception is the beginning. So when you can steer from one to the other, if you deceive someone's perceptions, you've now shaped their reality. And I think that's what part of the game is with this, is that with a movie about focus, if I'm steering your focus, I can do whatever I want to.
You could show me in your room.
That is so bad.
Is it?
Does it feel sexy on your face?
A little.
It does. Okay, let's go. I think the bigger, broader definition of a con man is the use of your perceptions. Like that's such a powerful thing when a con man understands what you're perceiving, understands what you're seeing, understands how you want to see things as opposed to how things really are. And it's the use of your perceptions and your perspectives to bring the con to life. There's two kinds of people in this world. There's hammers and nails. You decide which one you want to be.
Focus is out in theaters today, and you may want to watch our review before you race out and buy tickets. But I can't wait to see Will Smith and Margot Robbie together again in the Suicide Squad movie.
Here we go again with Vic's comic book love. Why do you love comic books so much?
Because they're awesome, and some of them have Batman in them.
Note, Vic, Batman is not in Suicide Squad. Sorry.
All right, you got me there. But Batman is in the Justice League, and there's a brand new Justice League movie out there. It's called Throne of Atlantis, and of course, it focuses on Aquaman.
Here we go again.
buried my dad this week. I'm all alone.
Where did the idea come from to tackle this story and have these characters have this treatment?
This was planned, so once I finished Justice League War, they knew that they wanted to do an Aquaman story already, and I was like, oh, you gotta let me do that one too. Like, I love Aquaman.
We're talking.
Arthur, I know you miss your dad, but...
I think I really like the notion of him as a guy. Like, just really an angry brawler of a dude. So that allowed me to sort of nudge at his portrayals and other stuff. For instance, we open with him drunk at a seafood restaurant with his head on the bar, pouring his heart out to a lobster.
Wait, whoa, hold up. This is his origin story. The film is about the birth of a superhero, and it's about Arthur Curry and his struggles and how he's approached, by the Justice League, how he's approached to become Aquaman and how he deals with that. He's reluctant. It's as if someone came to you and I and said, you're going to be a superhero, you're going to save New York. We'd be like, what are you talking about? You're nuts.
Arthur Curry, I'm the Flash. We've been looking for you.
What can we expect besides a whole lot of Aquaman kicking ass?
You can expect us to further the stories of all the League members from Justice League War. There'll be a little more of the Superman-Wonder Woman romance, a little more of the Shazam and Cyborg bromance, and bigger scale, bigger over-the-top action, and leaves you wanting more.
Aquaman, new guy to you. How do you find his voice and decide that that's how you're going to go with this character?
Yeah, well, I think that, one of the reasons they called me up, I think, is because they liked my voice quality. So when I went in, I actually said, what are we doing with it, essentially? And Andrea Romano just said, we kind of want you to use your own voice. That's why you're here. Really, I just let her guide me. She's the best,
How are the three of us going to evacuate entire cities?
As someone involved in the casting, you need to hear these voices in your head beforehand of what these characters might sound like. And what is that like for you to come up with what you think the voice should sound like in your head to getting that actor to agree to it?
I get paid for hearing voices in my head. You can't help but have an audible reaction to what you think a character should sound like. You listen for an actor that sounds like the character looks. That's crucial. By the gods.
What kinds of cues are you guys in the animated side of things taking from the comic side?
Certain things we just can't bring in from the New 52, and we want to be able to go into our own directions. Because the fans of the New 52 have the comics. I mean, comics do what comics do best, and animated movies do what animated movies do best. So after this movie, I know you'll be seeing more original content, still in this universe, but it gives us more freedom to take the characters off in our own direction.
Now that I think about it, Aquaman reminds me a little bit of me. We're both tall, both muscular, both smell like the ocean, but I think he can probably hold his breath a little longer than I can. Say, listen, which Justice League character are you?
I'm Batman.
Oh, of course, you're Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, Justice League Throne of Atlantis is out now on Blu-ray and other home video flavors. Of course, there's a lot of other movies out there right now for us to talk about. We've got movie reviews when we come back.
I have trouble understanding you people sometimes. You all talk so funny.
Welcome back to EP Daily. The Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper movie American Sniper was snubbed at the Oscars, but that doesn't mean it isn't worth watching. In fact, Scott and I watched it, and it's today's first review on the run. Clint Eastwood is bringing us many guns and many bullets. Once again, I'm talking about American Sniper. This one about Chris Kyle. This is actually based off of a memoir called American Sniper, so he's really bringing this one to life.
I like Clint Eastwood a lot. I like the films he makes, and I felt a little suspicious going into basically any entertainment we review on the show. And I don't like war movies necessarily. And I kept thinking about that, and I kept sitting there with my arms folded, with the frown on my face. That's the way I watch movies. And I kind of enjoyed this. I thought it was really intelligent and pretty moving.
It was moving because the story itself is quite moving because it is based off of this guy's real story.
I got a military-age male on a cell phone watching the convoy over.
If you think he's reporting troop movement, you have a green light. Your call, over.
Maybe he's just calling his old lady.
The thing that I'm always looking for in war movies is how is this different from other war movies that I've seen before. Not too long ago, I watched The Deer Hunter, which is a wonderful movie. If you've never seen it, you got to watch that. And the thing that I like about it is it doesn't celebrate necessarily the heroics of war, but shows us kind of the odd moments, the surreality of the experience. And that's really where this movie revels in. You know, he is a legend. All of his troop mates start referring to him as a legend as he does his sniper work. But I like the fact that the movie doesn't make a big deal out of why he's the sniper. The sniper's always a special guy, but in this movie we never really see how he gets to be the sniper. We never really learn about his marksmanship, and we just kind of see him doing his job. We kind of see him having these weird moments.
Yeah.
There's things here that we haven't seen before, and finding those moments, especially since there's been so many great movies about Iraq and about Afghanistan with Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker. Finding that new news is really a challenge, but Clint Eastwood does it.
Clint Eastwood does do it, and I'm really surprised with him, actually, because I know how gun-friendly he is and how pro-NRA he is, and I feel like he takes a step back from that. Like, he's not too in our faces with all the guns, but there is a lot of violence in this. There's a lot of violence against children in this. This is a very tough movie to watch at some moments. I was in my seat, honestly. I was riveted for a lot of it, and I was emotional for a lot of it. I thought I would be a little more teary-eyed just with the relationship with him and his wife. So Bradley Cooper and Sienna Miller are fantastic.
Just one note about Sienna Miller. As her character in the film, I felt like she needed something else. She didn't have enough to do. She's always the stay-at-home wife, the one he goes back to when he comes stateside again.
But that's what happens.
No, I know that's what happens, but I just felt like she needed some other element.
You did your part. You sacrificed enough. You let somebody else go.
She just plays kind of a cliched wife waiting for her husband to come home.
And that is the problem
She deserves
with the movie,
better.
for sure. But the problem is that there's too much story to tell. So we can't really get into her story at all because we have to see Chris Kyle's story. And it's really a compelling story, and it's a sad story. And I feel like people should watch this movie. It's pretty interesting. What are you scoring it?
8 out of 10 for me.
7.5 for me.
You know, I really enjoyed seeing American Sniper with you.
Aw, that's so sweet of you to say.
You shared your popcorn with me. Vic never shares his popcorn.
Yeah.
You hardly talked at all. Vic talks through the whole movie.
Yeah, he does that.
And you only farted twice.
Did I fart twice?
Was it 3 times?
Oh, we don't need to talk about that now. Let's go to a review of Kingsman, the Secret Service. For the man that brought us Kick-Ass, he brings us a new one called Kingsman, the Secret Service. This is based off of a comic book. I'm not sure if you've read the comic.
I did not, but listen, I know you and Vic saw this before I saw it.
Way before you saw
And
it.
you two had such a good time. You were so excited. I could not wait to see it, and I've seen it, and you weren't wrong. It is a pretty good movie, though I don't think that my words are quite as hyperbolic as you and Vic.
Oh, yes. Very nice.
It's impossible, though, not to compare this to the backstory in Kick-Ass, which I thought had much more of an emotional component to it than this did. Here, it's just kind of white noise, and then we just get back to the action, which is super explosive. I agree. Matthew Vaughn is the director. Is an incredible tour de force. He really has directed some of my favorite movies in the world, in history, and this is another pretty good one. I don't think it's as good as some of his earlier work, though.
I agree with you. I did enjoy Kick-Ass a lot more, only because the story did feel a little more real. You're right. But jumping into this one, I was still entertained the entire way through because I'm on the edge of my seat. Colin Firth kicked so much butt. This guy's in his 50s, and he is kicking some serious ass. Not to pull from Matthew Vaughn's last movie, but he really is. And that's the thing here. There's so many action-packed moments. They feel like final boss levels. I feel like we hit 3 final boss levels in this movie before we got to the actual final boss, which of course is played by Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp, which was a little distracting,
He's
actually.
ridiculous. I didn't enjoy that or appreciate the novelty or lack of novelty there.
I have trouble understanding you people sometimes. You all talk so funny.
I feel like it's tipping its hat to all those action movies that we love, like Jason Bourne, and they even say it in the movie, Jason Bourne and Jack Bauer, and just spy characters that we fall in love with a little bit. And I just think they're paying homage to them, but also poking fun at themselves. It's just action, it's comedy.
Writing's good, the acting's
writing-
pretty good.
Yeah, the acting-
directing's superb.
It's pretty good, you're right. The only issue is, of course, is that there's not, the greatest roles for women in this movie.
There's
And
hardly any roles for women
I
in
know.
this movie.
So then I make the excuse that it's a boy's tale. It's this boy's story, so there really wouldn't be that many roles for women in his world at this point in his life. There is a young girl named Roxy who kicks butt. She's not given enough to do, though.
She gets
for the amount of
attached
butts she
to a
kicks.
pair of balloons that look like testicles, and then she just rides those testicle balloons into the atmosphere. I'm spoiling the ending. I'm sorry, I don't mean to give it away, but she should have better things to do, better lines, better action. I agree.
Right, so all the women in the movie are there as a service to the men, unfortunately. But outside of that, the movie is quite entertaining, and I'm gonna recommend it. It was a good time.
I wanted to have more fun, and I think you should want to have more fun too. For me, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
It gets a 6.5 for me.
Oh. A sequel to that film is already in the works, and let's hope the next time around that the women characters have more to do.
Listen, all the King's horses and all the King's men and women will be putting EP back together again after the break. Welcome back to EP Daily. Earlier in the show, we took you behind the scenes of the new movie Focus, but I bet you're wondering if it's any good. Thankfully, Vic and Scott saw it and are here now with their review.
At the end of the day, this is a game of focus.
Very clever.
All right, now, attention is like a spotlight, and our job is to dance in the darkness.
Will Smith is back in movie theaters. No, this is not Hancock 2, Victor Lucas.
still waiting for
you
that.
were hoping for
I
that.
liked Hancock.
This is called Focus. It stars Will Smith and Margot Robbie, who you may remember from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
This is a con film.
Yeah, it's a con film in the spirit of something like The Sting. Will Smith is an unbelievable magnetic movie star, and it's always fun to watch this guy. He pretty much outperforms anything he's ever given. But I feel like in this case, he's not given enough a story, script, or a supporting cast that he can bounce off of to his fullest potential.
I think he's one of these people in Hollywood who've been able to build an entire career based off their charisma and charm.
Yes.
And that's what it feels like he's doing here. He's got his performance level in cruise control, and he's doing things that seem way too familiar, and he's not creating anything that's unique or brand new. And Margot Robbie, she's an ingenue. She's
Or is she?
Or is she?
Yeah.
I think she's got some presence, and she probably has a great future in Hollywood. And I don't think these two have any chemistry whatsoever.
Wow.
Adrian Martinez kind of stands out as a pretty cool supporting role in here.
Well, he stands out because he's the only genuine performer in the whole movie. Everybody else has insincere Hallmark card greeting dialogue.
And I think that's part of the whole problem with the setup with this thing. When you've got a bunch of cons going on that are happening on screen before your eyes, you never know what to believe. You never know what to invest in. And if you're gonna go down that road, you gotta over-care. You have to really, really care about what's going to happen with each one of these characters and where they're going to go, and you just don't, because
Also,
everybody just kind of phones it in for the most part.
I also don't really understand all the cons that they're pulling off. They're going around and they're faking heart attacks and they're stealing watches, and somehow that turns into $7 million. I don't really, none of it really makes sense. There's some scams that they try to pull off
and
here.
one of them is just ridiculous.
Ridiculous,
Yes.
and it's so incredibly intellectually annoying, and it doesn't rise to the con occasion that you want it to, and you can't help, like you did in this movie, think of far better movies like Out of Sight or, of course, The Sting and The Color of Money, movies in which great, strong characters somehow were played. Here, you just start guessing who's playing who, and you're always kind of wrong, and then you walk out of the theater feeling like this movie is somehow dumber than I am and smarter than I am.
Well, and it's smug as well, you know, because it does the horrible crime of just presenting types on screen, just character-esque type creations instead of people.
There's no joy, and it feels like we're always in places and we're doing things that should be fun, and somehow they're just not.
It's a good-looking movie. That's the best that I'll say for it, and I like the international flavor that it has, but
Also, I make this face when Margot Robbie comes on screen.
He does. What are you going to give Focus?
I'm going to give it a 4, Vic.
It gets a 5.5 from me. So, quite a few problems in that one, but I guess the big takeaway is the script needed a little more focus. But we'll be right back with more EP. If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It is time now for my favorite part of every show. It's the Twitter question of the day. Today's question?
It is from JQer at JQer34. I would love to hear your opinion on game length and how important or not it is to a game's overall value. Excellent question, Jake.
As a video game critic, I'm not sure I'm the best judge for this question because I have a lot of games I have to play that I have to get ready for every show. And so if games are shorter, sometimes I think that's a good thing because I've got 4 more games to play this week.
Right.
I think it should be in the probably 7 to 15 hour range. Even 15 is kind of pushing it. What about you?
I think that's right on the money. I think 7 to 15 hours is good. I think game prices should drop. I think that they're too expensive, and I think that should factor into overall value. So they have to be good. But I don't think, I'd rather play a short game that really leaves an impression on me than a long game that sort of overstays its welcome. And we see that more often than not. You know, there's a lot of padding. A lot of times developers just have too much walking built into a game where you're just walking, not doing anything.
What is a game that is the right length?
I think the Uncharted games have been perfect. I think the Arkham games have been perfect for that too. Even Mass Effect. I mean, some of those are going a little bit long, but they're really well tuned.
all the God of War games perfect.
Those two as well. Good question. And remember, if you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv.
We've got more stories coming your way, including a look at No Man's Sky. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you tomorrow.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dragon Mania Legends, which you can play for free right now.
As you go closer and closer to the center of the galaxy, you'll get better ship, upgrade your weapons, upgrade your suit, allow you to explore more, be able to trade better, and defend yourself better, which you'll need to be able to do. There's kind of a core game there, but it's still very much wide open.